Man, oh man, there is so much going on in Fortnite right now, especially after the latest patch, version 8.4. In this one, guys, we have a ton to go over about Season 8 and potentially Season 9. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you like what you see. I'm pumping out near daily Fortnite content, covering the storyline, news, updates, and anything else you need to know. Make sure to use my code PineapplezYT in the item shop. Huge shout out to these guys for sending me some proof. Really appreciate your support. If you want to make it on an upcoming video, just send me a screenshot. So I want to start this video off by talking about some mysterious telephones that have started to appear around the map. Let's start with this one. It's on the northernmost side of the map, kind of near the block. It's red, it says Pizza Pit on it, and clearly it looks like a telephone associated with the Tomato Head restaurant. Right in the center of the dial, there's a telephone number. 555-0198. Now, my first instinct was to try and call this number because if you remember in the past, there have been telephone numbers that you call that have been updated daily to provide storyline information. So, thought it was reasonable, gave it a call, wasn't a working number. So then I looked it up to see where it is. It's actually a Salt Lake City phone number in the United States that's in Utah. And the interesting part about this is it's a fake number. It's not a working number. In fact, it was made to be a fake number and permanently assigned to Salt Lake City. You can call this number 1,000 times, and every time it will give you the same response, something along the lines of, "You cannot make this call." If there was a phone for Tomato Head, sure enough, there has to be one also for the Durr Burger. It's on this hill near Fatal, just into the snow biome. There's a number on this one too, and that number is 555-0152, so the only changing digits from this one and the last number are the last two. I did the same thing, I gave it a call, sure enough, it wasn't working. I looked up where it was, it's in Washington in the United States, so the geography, generally speaking, of these two phone numbers, Utah and Washington, aren't that far apart. I wonder why they were given these numbers specifically. I know in real life these numbers don't lead anywhere, you can't connect to anyone, but in the game's universe, maybe it goes somewhere else. Who is on the other end of these telephones? Something to keep an eye on moving forward through the rest of the season. Now I want to talk a little bit about what's going on at Loot Lake. So in Loot Lake, of course, you guys know, the excavators, the dig team, they uncovered this giant metal thing in the center underneath the lake. And people have actually been very quick to discover that in between the cracks, you can get a glimpse inside as to what's underneath. You can see a very bright white light underneath, not much else unfortunately. One idea that I've seen swirling around is that the in-between, which is the area we were all sent to back in Season 6 during the Cube event, could be right here under the lake. It would kind of make sense considering the cube at the time was centered in the lake, and until yesterday Kevin's shards remained there, right on top of this area. Going back and taking a look at what it looked like while inside, it's definitely lining up with the colors you see underground. Very bright, very white, and that's exactly what you see when you look through the cracks. To make things even more interesting, just take a look at the actual map and zoom in on Loot Lake. Epic might have messed up a little bit by showing us something a little extra. You can see in the center of Loot Lake, right in the middle of that weird pattern they uncovered, there's a blue light there. Could that be a portal? Could this thing underground simply be a teleporter or a portal of some kind? This picture right here really seems to back up the claim that inside or underground it could be the entryway back to the in-between. We thought we had seen the last of it and we still don't know if we're going to see it again, but I gotta say, it makes a lot of sense considering also in the same spot Kevin's shards were, in the same spot this thing has been uncovered underground, was also the former site of this portal looking thing that was keeping Kevin afloat at Loot Lake. Loot Lake has undergone a lot of transformation since Season 1. It really has. And it's interesting to see everything that's led us up to this point currently. I know Kevin is officially dead because his shards are gone, but I just feel like that we haven't seen the last of Kevin in some way. If there is truly a portal, I'd say the highest option for where we could be teleported to is back to the in-between. Another big reason why this could very easily be a teleporter is the fact that before Season 8 started, When Wailing Woods was still there was a huge laboratory underneath Wailing in which they were testing out different rifts, they were testing out different portals and just testing it out. And there was a big theory going around even before Season 8 that at some point, maybe the government could master teleportation. And coincidentally enough, that same group, the group we named, quote-unquote, the government, is back digging up this possible teleporter. I got this tweet from my boy Sheriffmus XD in which he managed to get underground, but underground at an angle so he can see the exact size and shape of this mysterious Loot Lake underground object. Now, there's always a chance that it could be not completely in the game's files yet because we're not supposed to be seeing this yet, but we work with what we have, and what we see is a very small kind of circular cylinder type thing. We can see it's not large at all, and honestly, what this does more than anything is confirms, and this is only if it stays this small. There's a chance Epic could add some textures and models, and it expands and finally shows what it truly is. But if this is the way it's supposed to be, it confirms that the Week 7 loading screen for this season and the original bunker that was found to the east of Loot Lake is not affiliated with what's going on at the middle. It doesn't look like what we see in the middle of Loot Lake is big enough to even have this bunker fit inside. So, by virtue of that, they must be unrelated. We know that the dig site bunker has tons of gold and loot and riches in it because we see it in the loading screen, yet all of the dig site crew and all of the workers decide to go to Loot Lake to dig there because there's something even more important. And again, that's us knowing what's actually inside of that bunker because we've seen it. I got hit up on Twitter by my boy Agent Aqua84. He said, "Not sure if you've already known this, but have you noticed the markings on the metal door under Loot Lake looks identical to the strange stone-like structures we saw covering the house back in Season 6. Took me a second to realize what he was talking about, but it makes a lot of sense. Take a look at all of these patterns on the metal floor here. This is at Loot Lake. You can see there appear to be a whole bunch of cube-like shapes and other cube-like shapes. It's a pretty random and just strange design, but if you take a look at the house, the middle Loot Lake house from Season 6, you might remember when this was happening, when there were a bunch of mini cube-like spawn objects that were just coming off of the house and kind of infecting it in a way. My boy Agent Aqua says that they look similar, and I have to agree. We just keep getting more and more things stacked on top of each other about a possible cube return, and I'll be completely honest with you, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if Kevin is in some way going to play a role in this, whether he comes back or not, but even if he doesn't, it's not like you can't say the evidence wasn't overwhelming, because it is. It's really concrete evidence that not only sounds good, but makes a lot of sense given the location of where they're digging and the location of where the cube was for a long time. Fortnite actually came out and announced something really amazing today. This is coming to you courtesy of fnbr.news. Epic Games has announced the Fortnite World Cup Creative today, which features a $3 million creative prize pool. There will be 5 events with 5 different creative trials built by community creators. Each event will take place in a new creative game. After the initial qualifiers, there will only be 15 finalists who will battle in a creative competition at the World Cup Finals to win a share of $3 million. The first event will be hosted by Scissors, who of course you guys know all his fun runs. They say fun run, but it's not so fun. It's more rage-inducing than anything. This is like one of the most amazing things ever. This isn't even Epic saying $3 million for a competitive prize pool. This is solely for the community. This is in creative mode. It's not like I'm actually going to be good enough to finish any of this stuff and get some money, but definitely, I bet a lot of you guys probably could give it a go. It'll be running from April 29th to June 7th, which is a pretty solid amount of time for you to try and really get your grind in. What do you think is happening under Loot Lake? I sit here and I talk about the most possible outcomes in my mind, but really, I don't know anything. I could be just as wrong or right as anyone else, so I would love to hear your thoughts and your theories. I think it does make a lot of sense, though, that the middle object that is in Loot Lake could be some kind of a transportation device, if not a teleporter, if not a portal. And I'd be very curious to see, if it is a portal, where it takes us. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will catch you in the next video, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and peace out.